welcome to Cliff Notes Live. Oh, wait, episode 116, I think. I didn't matter at this point, right? But welcome to Cliff Notes Live. Before we go anywhere at all, let me start off with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV. Love reality TV fans. I especially love you guys that are out here this evening watching live, or those of you who are watching on replay, because that is an option as well. I know not everyone has Monday nights free, so for those of you who don't, thank you. You are not forgotten. I appreciate y'all as well. Welcome to all of y'all. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Man, right? Happy President's Day. I kind of almost forgot it was a holiday. I know some people are off. I guess if you work for a bank, I don't know. If you're in school, did you get off? Some of y'all there in school, tell me if you did or not. I did not. It was actually a busy day for me, Monday and all that. But for those of you who got to celebrate, happy President's Day. For the rest of you, it's still President's Day. Reflecting back on good and bad, where are we up to? Number 48 or so? A lot of presidents. Oh, I remember as a kid in school having to memorize all the presidents from start to finish. The first ones are easy, right? I mean, Washington, Adams. You get there in the middle in the 1840s or so, it gets a little bit tougher, right? I don't know that I could go through the list anymore. Once upon a time I could, but probably not so anymore. But welcome. I will talk about President's Day in more detail. We're not going to talk an hour on President's Day, but I got a little story here there we'll throw out there. But before I do that, I wanted to check in, see who all is out here. Give a big old howdy and shout out to all of y'all. Marilyn Sutherland. First one in. Howdy, Marilyn. How are you doing? Keith Franklin as well. Keith, howdy, sir. How are you? Cindy Hire. Happy belated birthday again. I know you celebrated over the weekend, so happy birthday on that. Mark Taylor. Yeah, we'll talk about the challenge in a second. Jake, the horror movie geek. Howdy, Jake. And there's Cindy Hire. Survived my birthday yesterday. Went to New York City for the day. That's pretty cool. Had a birthday dinner at Bubba Gump's. Y'all know this? I've never been to New York City. I came close. I've been to Newark Airport a few times flying elsewhere. Never actually been to New York City. We may have to change that next year. I'd love to see it. Be fun. Grab Sharon and just see all the sights that never seen. So yeah, we'll talk about that later maybe as well. Michelle Moore, howdy. How are you doing? Ma, of course, Ma's out here. Ma, how are you? Welcome. Amanda Lowe as well. Hey, Amanda. How are you? Wyatt Garrett is out here. I saw some concert pictures that you had, I guess it was over the weekend. Samantha Wallace as well. Did I skip any? I don't think so. That's good. I hope y'all are all doing fantastic. Welcome to another episode. We'll say this and then we'll move on to some other stuff. If you haven't already subscribed, does every single YouTube channel do that? If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel, and you can turn on notifications. The challenge is wrapped up, so I just got through dropping the latest recap of that, the final recap. I don't know what we're going to do next. We'll see, but not knowing for certain, if you turn on notifications, if I just randomly decide to recap some, I don't know, the evening news or whatever, you'll know about it if you got them turned on. So consider that, consider subscribing, and consider a little thumbs up. I love the thumbs up symbol. I consider thumbs up as well while you're out there. Appreciate every bit of it. Especially just appreciate y'all being out here. All right, President's Day. First of all, let me say this. I don't have a whole lot lined up tonight. We'll talk about the challenge. We'll talk about a few other things, but it's kind of open to y'all. If y'all got any special topics y'all want to talk about, I'm open this evening. But I was thinking President's Day, and I remember I mentioned I had to memorize all presidents. I remember in 6th grade at C.C. Duff Elementary in Arlington, Texas, where I grew up, we had, was it the bicentennial? It was a bicentennial, so actually I may have been 11 at the time, 5th grade. Anyway, we all had to, as a class, dress up as our favorite president or as a president, and we had a parade around the neighborhood, a parade of presidents. I got picked to be John Adams as the president that I was representing. And I remember my mom she was so nice, so helpful. She did it all. She put a costume together for me that was, I don't know, some kind of black outfit. We had a powdered wig that I threw on. I remember I had white stockings that came up to my knees the way you used to do. Black dress shoes that I wore to church and all that. So dressed up like John Adams. I was so excited, so proud. doing it. My mom is huge sewer. Can make any costume whatsoever. I actually, and it's been a long while, but I actually used to be a bit of a sewer myself. I can still sew buttonholes and zippers and fix buttons and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so she made a costume for me, walked around the elementary school, and then the local news station showed up and actually showed us on the evening news the parade of presidents. And I was on screen for 2 or 3 seconds. They showed me walking with my powdered wig and all of that. I remember watching that evening, being so excited, so impressed that I got to be on TV, that I was a star on TV because I was John Adams on the newscast that evening. Who would have thunk it that, I don't know, 40 something years later, I'd get to be on TV just a little bit more than that. You never know how life's paths are going to take you. But yeah, that was my first exposure to presidents and all of that. So yeah, happy President's Day. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Now, the elephant in the room, I suppose, as we go on to the next topic. I'm dressed a little differently today. Yeah, y'all notice? So with that in mind, in addition to National President's Day, I want to also point out that today is National Comfy Day. Yeah, I'm wearing my comfy. I got a comfy, was it 2 years ago for Christmas, I think. I got a comfy as a Christmas present. One of my favorite clothing accessories. I would wear it out to the grocery stores, down to check the mail, everything else if Sharon would let me. She's got better sense than I do. So, no, I don't do that. But around the house, in the evenings after I get done with work, I throw on this comfy. It's just my absolute favorite thing. So, as important as President's Day is, National Comfy Day actually probably hits home just a little bit more because I love me a comfy. In fact, if I was back in the Big Brother house, you remember when whenever you win an HOH, you're given an HOH robe to wear around. Mine was brown, which fine, whatever. If I had my choice, I'd be back in there saying, get rid of the HOH robe. I don't want it. Just give me an HOH comfy instead. I don't know if they do it or not, but I'd love to have one of these that has HOH on the back. I would have worn that all around. It's funny, when we did Big Brother, I don't remember ever wearing the robe, the HOH robe, outside the HOH room. At night and in evenings, I'd wear it up in the HOH room, but it's not like I wore it downstairs around the house and everything else. I just almost felt like it was rubbing it in people's faces a little bit. It seemed like it was a little too much, I don't know, power going to my head or something. I didn't want to push too hard that I was HOH and have people seeing me as more of a threat or something. So I never wore it around the rest of the house, and I don't remember anyone else doing that either. But then last season on Big Brother, it seemed like there were some people, and I don't remember if it's Taylor and a few others, that won HOH, and they wore it everywhere. It seems like for the next week, 24 hours a day, they're wearing their HOH robe. It's just a different mentality. I think during our season, we would have taken that as a dig, as a slide or something. But this season, it didn't seem to bother anyone. As long as more than one person did it, I think it was easier as well. So it's funny from season to season what people maybe get offended with, don't get offended with. I don't know, but yeah, Big Brother, if you're watching, think about some comfies. That'd be a lot of fun as well. We had so many rules as an HOH when we were in a house, and not all of them y'all necessarily hear about. We had some cool things, like we got to do free laundry. You could put as many clothes as you wanted into a big net sack, drop it off. They would do all the laundry for you, fold it and everything else, and that was cool. I mean, not that I didn't really mind doing laundry in our backyard, but we only had access to that backyard a few days a week. The rest of the time, you're just stuck with nothing. So, yeah, as soon as I got HOH, I took all my clothes, threw them into that big thing, turned them in for laundry. And yeah, it took a couple days. Nothing fast about the way they did it. But a couple of days later, I got them all back, folded, smelling nice. I even put fabric softener in there. A pretty nice little perk. But I remember I was so happy to have the little iPod shuffle. It's probably the last working iPod shuffle anywhere, right? I mean, some of y'all may have them, but I can't imagine a lot of people still use little iPod shuffles. But we had that with our songs that we had picked. I had George Strait as my album, so I listened to that while I was HOH. But one of the things that y'all may not know is there's a rule that says that you have to pick a room that you're going to use your iPod Shuffle in, and you can only use the shuffle in that room throughout your HOH. So everyone picks. It's not even really that you say I select. It's just everyone uses their shuffle up in the HOH room. But we didn't realize until, at least I didn't realize until we got in there, that theoretically you could pick to use that somewhere else. I know Mickey, who was always looking during my season, always looking for a loophole, some way to play the system a little bit. He wanted to use them while he was working out, so he actually took it. I think he hid it away in his pocket or something, but was trying to use it out in the backyard and wanted to use the iPod back there and was called out. They said, "No, you got to leave it upstairs." And I think, if I recall, he tried to argue that, "Oh no, I'm going to pick the backyard as my room." They said, "No, you've already used it upstairs. You can't do that," and all that. But theoretically, if someone wanted to, I think you could say, "Yeah, I'm not going to use it upstairs. I'm going to use it out in the backyard." I don't know if they would really let you do that or not. For all I know, they changed the language after Mickey started challenging it a little bit. But yeah, so there you go. A little inside scoop on HOHs inside the Big Brother house. All right, a couple other questions. Mark asked about the challenge, of course, and Marilyn Sutherland saying, "Who won the challenge?" Well, let's talk about that. As Mark says, congrats on the new winners of the challenge, and asking what I thought about their performance. All right, for those of you who watch a challenge that haven't seen the final, don't know who won, and don't want spoilers, just plug your ears for a couple minutes because I'm going to reveal the spoilers. Final episode, I think it was 19 episodes. It seems like it lasted forever, which isn't a bad thing. It just seems like a long time ago since Tommy and Sis were competing on the challenge and all that. But the winner of the challenge this year, well deserving, Tori and Devin. Yeah, they finally won. I'm so happy to see it. It's funny, for those of you who don't maybe watch the challenge, Devin came up through, I guess, MTV Real World Road Rules, where a lot of people started and been playing forever. And he's not ever been a fan of the Big Brother players that come in there. He doesn't like the Big Brother alliances that form. So he thinks we're all too devious. We probably are. But he's just always had a lot of criticisms of Big Brother players. But having said that, Devin plays the game the way I think I would play the game if I was ever on the challenge. Very strategic, trying to manipulate a little bit here and there, trying to always work deals with everyone else, doing a lot of what I tried to do inside the Big Brother house. So I've always been a huge fan of his. He never won it. Neither had Tori. They won the final. They beat Bananas and Nani, which is tough. I've met Nani before. Incredibly nice. I met Bananas before, and he's incredibly nice as well. Yeah, I would have been happy with them winning it also, but and Nani never won, so it would have been a big deal for her. Bananas has, I think, seven-time winners, so he'll be okay. But now I like seeing Tori and Devin win. It was a fantastic season. I really liked all four of the duos that were left that competed in the challenge, and that was Tori and Devin, Nani and Bananas, Anissa and Jordan. Anissa, I'm always cheering for her because she's an underdog and has never won, and I want, it's her time. I need her to win. And then Horatio and Olivia were the two newbies, the rookies that made it all the way to the end. They're going to be back because they were badass. I loved watching both of them play the game. I can't wait to see them come back. I promise you, well, I'm not promise. They're going to be one of my top picks for who I'm going to be cheering for the next season that they're on. Who knows who else goes on? Maybe I won't be cheering for them because I'd be on there and said, "Yeah, right." But no, I really enjoyed it. What did I think about their performance, Mark? I loved it. Bananas and Nani, you saw them get a little frantic at times. Same with Anissa and Jordan. They got a little frantic. They started arguing with each other. They weren't always on the same page because they were rushing around so much. They let the adrenaline get to them, I think. Tori and Devin were they're the rabbit in the hare kind of story. They just plodded along. They never, not that they didn't push, but there were times where they said, "Look, let's just settle down. Let's just get it done. We don't have to be in the biggest hurry to get it taken care of." They just always were focused on the end without getting too frantic as they went through. And again, that's the way I think. I would like to think the way I would play the game as well. So I think they did fantastic. They deserved it. And Devin, this final seemed like there were a lot of puzzles in this final, and that's one of Devin's strengths. So that certainly helped him as well. The final was cool, and I won't go into a whole lot of detail because I know some of y'all don't watch it, and so you're like, oh, come on, move on to the next subject. The final though had 4 rooms; they had to break through a room at a time to get to the final. One of the rooms, which was really cool, had 320-pound cinder blocks that you had to take all these cinder blocks out of the room. It had a pattern spray painted or painted on the side, so then you had to reassemble the cinder blocks outside into a shape. It's a little bit like some of the Survivor puzzles, except each of the puzzle pieces weighs 20 or 30 pounds. So a lot of work to get this thing put together. And if you mess up, a whole heck of a lot of work to take it back down, put it back together again, which one of the Bananas and Nani ran into. They didn't solve it right, and they just almost gave up. Here's the thing: I'm never giving up. If I'm in that show or Big Brother or anything else, I'm fighting to the end, even if I know I'm not going to win. So whatever. They knew they saw the writing on the wall. They knew they weren't going to win. But yeah, it was a really cool challenge. So I enjoyed this season. I started off watching it just to cheer on Tommy and Sis. They didn't last that long. It's okay. They tried. But then at the end, I liked all the teams that made it. So yeah, I'm ready for the next season. It'll be here before you know it. It's just like Survivor. 2 seasons a year, it seems like. We've got also Survivor or Challenge International, which is going to be who won it? Did Ben win? No, Danny McRae won it, and Sarah won, and they're going to be competing against the winners from other countries, and I think Bananas and a few people are going to be there competing as part of their team. So there's always something. There's always a challenge season going on somewhere. It seems like, right? All right, talking about something else. We can talk about that more later if y'all want, but we'll talk about some other things. Anna Cano said, hey, hi from LA. Anna, how are you doing? Welcome as well. Thank you for sitting in. I appreciate it. Moss saying, did you hear about Jimmy Carter being in hospice? Yeah. How old is Jimmy Carter? He's, what, 98, 99? He, he's been he's been a former president for a long time. He was president from 76 until 1980. I remember that. I think 1980 was the last presidential election I wasn't able to vote in. I was 15 at the time. I voted in 84, but that's kind of when I started learning more about politics and everything else. Ford versus Carter, and the hostage crisis took place with Iran while Jimmy Carter was president. Jimmy Carter only served 4 years as president, but he has done so much since he got out. He's so big in Habitat for Humanity. I got a special spot in my heart because Jimmy Carter, as far as I know, maybe he's not the only one, but the only one I know right offhand who's an engineer, right? And I'm an engineer, so I kind of like anyone who's an engineer that makes me think they're a little more methodical in the way they think sometimes and all of that. He was I think a nuclear engineer, which is pretty cool to have that as a president. But yeah, I know Jimmy Carter's not doing well. They said they moved him into hospice, which suggests it's not going to be that much longer. That guy lived a pretty good life. And he is. I feel like he has gained almost nothing but just more respect since he finished up being a president. So yeah, it's going to be rough. I know when President Bush Sr. died, they had the funeral here in Houston. He kind of claimed Houston as his home at the end. So they had the funeral here in Houston. They took the train up to his presidential museum in College Station, where Texas A&M is, and so we were very involved in the process down here. I met President Bush multiple times at some college baseball games. He loved college baseball. He played for, where did he go? Harvard, I think. But I loved college baseball, so I actually met him a few times. It's not like I came up and said, "Hey, George, how are you?" No, but I was close enough to say hi, and he said hi back across all the Secret Service people. I'll tell you a little story about George Bush, which just personified how that guy was, I think, in some ways. We went to the Houston Rodeo one year, and George Strait was in concert. Big deal. George Strait, the king of country music and all. He was in concert. We had tickets. We were way up in the nosebleed sections. We weren't that close, but we were inside the stadium. But George Bush had a seat on the floor, probably 5 or 6 rows back from the stage, which I always wondered, who is more important to President Bush that got to sit closer than President Bush to George Strait in his performance? Maybe not important. Maybe just willing to spend a whole lot more money. But George Bush was there with a few of his family members. I don't remember if Barbara was there or not, but he was sitting there watching George Strait. We had our binoculars, like, oh, there's George Bush. Not that the big screen didn't zoom in on him a lot as well. But at one point, we looked there, and he's got a big old bag of popcorn, and he's eating his popcorn. And he turns around, he just starts handing it to people around him. You want some popcorn? You want some popcorn? I don't think these are people that he knew. He was just being friendly. Just, you're just like any grandpa would do. That's, well, I'm not going to eat it all. Might as well see if they want some popcorn as well. So, yeah, I always enjoyed when I kind of brushed shoulders up against George Bush. I got a little story for you, or a little inside, not inside, but a little information. My son has a buddy who was actually on a presidential detail for, I think it was George Bush. Uh, did y'all know that there are soldiers who are assigned a presidential detail for former presidents, and their only job is to be available 24/7 in case something happens to the president. I think maybe the president's wife, president or president's close family. Their only job is to make sure that they are available in case something like that happens. So the second they get news, they're on planes. They've already got logistics handled about, how would we do the service, who would come. They've got everything pre-mapped out on what happens if a former president passes away. So he was on the detail for President Bush, and I think he was on it when President Bush actually passed. So immediately, I mean, they're just sitting on a base waiting in case that phone call comes in. Isn't that weird? Immediately they're jumping into action, making sure everything's lined up and everything's good to go. So he did that. So there's got to be something similar for Jimmy Carter. I just wonder, is there someone who has been on presidential detail for Jimmy Carter for the last 40 something years, or at least 20 years, I guess, before you can retire from the military, that spent the last 10 years saying, yeah, just in case something happens to President Carter, no, this year, nothing happened. Next year, yeah, nothing happened. That's been sitting there forever. I mean, you're happy, I guess, right? Every year that he's still okay and all that. But there's been plans in place, I would guess, for Jimmy Carter for a long time. So yeah, I'm not a feel for him. It's full respect to any former president whatsoever. But that guy did so much after he got out, get Habitat for Humanity and all that. So yeah, that's he lived a good life. We'll just say that. All right, a few other questions. Y'all know I'm kind of rambling as I go into these stories, right? All right, Cindy is saying, tell us about your background, and then Moss, I remember this background, one of the first that you used for the show. Yeah, I was. I don't know if y'all saw my reminder. I did a little Photoshop of my face on Mount Rushmore, which I thought was kind of funny. But I spent a little too much time doing that. I forgot to do a background right before I came in to do this show, and I could have just used a bunch of comfies or something. I think today's National Cherry Pie Day, so happy National Cherry Pie as well. Makes me want to go to McDonald's. For some reason, the only place I ever get cherry pies is McDonald's, it seems like. Here at home, we always have chocolate or pecan pie, some of those. But anyway, I could have done a bunch of cherries in the background, but doesn't matter. I didn't have time to go out and pick some background. I just thought I need to get something, get the show going. So this is one of my favorite backgrounds. This is the Dixie Chicken, the bar. It's not even a bar. It's a saloon in College Station, Texas. At one point, they sold more beer per square foot, per square inch, than any other location in the entire United States. They still do. And my home away from home is right across the street from the dorm I lived in while I was in college. It actually kept me out of a lot of trouble, probably because Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, we would all just walk across the street, and lots of times we would sit down. They've got at the front of the place, they've got a whole bunch of tables. They're domino tables. And for those of you who don't know, a domino table means it's got a raised edge around the outside so dominoes can't slide off the table. We would get there at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. As soon as we got done with classes and dinner, park ourselves, play dominoes until the place shut down at 2 o'clock in the evening, and just have fun singing along to country music, seeing all our friends. And that was just my hangout. Cheers, the place where everybody knows your name, the bar and Cheers and all. This was my Cheers. It was a Dixie Chicken, and like I say, just across the street. So we didn't have to do driving or anything else. It was just my spot. So yeah, I chose to use this as a background. Do it every once in a while, just a little reminiscing about my college hangout. I actually knew one of the guys. My first job when I got out of college was one of the three guys who were co-owners of the chicken while they were in college a few years before I got there. And then he had sold out his interest and all that. But I went back one time with him and got to visit with the new owner of the bar and hear all kinds of stories and all that, and watch him griping and going after some people who were in there with some fake IDs and really giving them a hard time and all that. And yeah, I had a lot of fun at the Dixie Chicken. So yeah, type it in, do a Google search for the Dixie Chicken. You'll see all kinds of stuff, all kinds of pictures. So there you go. All right, what else do we have on here? Amanda Lowe, did you get to take the robe home? No! Of all the stuff that they sent to us, they did not send us the robes. They're big, and they actually are pretty thick. So maybe it was too heavy. Maybe the cost of postage or something was too much. It would have been cool to get that robe. I think they just probably reuse them over and over again. There's a brown one. There's a red one. I think there's a blue one. I feel like they just wash them over and again. So this season, they're probably wearing the same one that I wore as well. No, I didn't get the robe. And I know CBS says, oh, well, you can go out to our website and purchase the robe if you'd like to have one that says HOH. Yeah, for like $140 or something. I'm okay. My mom's a sewer. Before I do that, I'll get a robe. I'll get her to sew an HOH on me. It would seem a little pretentious, though, to wear the robe around the house with HOH on the back of it. Sharon would know where that was at. Sharon would say, yeah, you're not the HOH in this house, which is true. I know my position. I'll make a robe for Sharon that says HOH, and then the world will be great. But no, they didn't give us a robe. I kind of thought they would, especially because not everyone's HOH. So if you made HOH, it would seem like an extra special something to get in your memento box, but they didn't. So they probably just thought we'd buy it instead. I'm not buying it. Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. All right, Ian Conley saying, hi, Cliff. You were my fave of your season. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Ian. I certainly do. Even have a big blue shirt with your face on it. All right, now, if you've got that, I need a picture of it. Wear it, preferably. You can take a picture of the shirt if you want, but I prefer to see you with it on. That's pretty cool. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Ian. I guess I'm okay with someone walking around wearing shirts with my face on it. That you have my permission. You have my authorization. Now it would. You talk about getting a big head, and I don't know what part of the world you live in, but if I'm walking down the street and I see someone walking towards me, and they've got a picture of me on their shirt, my head's blowing up about 10 times its original size. My ego will just go through the roof. Either that, or I'm going to assume that maybe you're a stalker, and I need to be a little more careful in terms of saying hello. But now, that's cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had so much fun playing that game. I was just in there trying to play the best I could. I thought I did pretty well. A few mistakes here or there, but I gave it everything I had, and I certainly didn't play it with the idea that when I got out, I would do anything other than just go back to regular life and all that. And it was just all about the experience, just like life in general. It's not about where you finish up. It's the journey that you get there. Although I would have been fine finishing up in first place. I tried. I came close. I came closer than maybe I thought. At least a few times I was in the house. So thank you. I appreciate the support. It means a lot. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good. Here's the thing, Ian. I got a little suggestion for you. I don't know how old you are. I don't know if you're eligible. If you're over 21, you're from the United States. That means that you're eligible to try out for Big Brother. And if you try out, and your tryout video maybe had you wearing that shirt with my face on it, I'm not saying it would get you a slot onto the show, but it might not hurt, right? I would think they'd laugh about that. That's pretty funny. I like that. Yeah, send me a picture of it. That'd be cool to see. I've had people do artwork of me, and I've had someone that drew a picture of me, a very good picture, drew it on the sole of their foot or someone else's foot. There's different ways that different people show their fan support. But it's always cool. I have so much fun interacting with everyone else who loves reality TV. It's just been a cool experience. Zachary Wise said, "Hey Zach, how are you? Howdy, have you been watching Australian Survivor? It's been amazing so far." No, but as much as I see posted on it on Twitter, it must be incredible because I'm seeing so many comments about Australian Survivor. I need to try to watch it. I tried to watch it when Russell Hantz was on there. Russell, the ultimate villain of our Survivor and all that. He went over there. He competed on it, and I watched a couple of episodes. It wasn't easy watching it, and then Russell went home a little early, and I kind of lost interest at the time. I wanted to watch it again because I think Australia, or was it South Africa? I think it was Australia where Sandra and her daughter were both on there. I talked to her just a little bit at Hearts of Reality about it, but they were both on it, so I was going to try to watch it, but I just never could find a great connection. And so here's the thing. As many Twitter posts as I've seen about it, it must be incredible, but I'm avoiding reading about it because I really want to go back and watch it from the start, and so I don't want any spoilers or anything. I mean, if you wanted to post something, you could, but because I'll forget it anyway, But yeah, I'd like to because I hear nothing but amazing things on it. It's funny that Survivor, Big Brother, The Circle, there's so many of these reality shows that have versions for so many different countries. And I know, like Big Brother Australia, I've watched a little bit like our show, but a little different as well. And I don't know exactly how Survivor Australia works, but everyone puts their own little local spin on it. But there's some cool ones. Survivor Australia, I'd love to watch if I spoke Portuguese was Big Brother Brazil. Talking about a huge following. That show has 100 million viewers or something. It's just incredible the number of people. Everyone watches Big Brother in Brazil. It's just through the roof. So if you don't speak Brazilian, it's a little bit tougher to do, but Brazilian. If you don't speak Portuguese, a little bit tougher to do, but yeah, I'd love to do that. Did y'all know, and then we'll move on to something else, there's a Spanish version of Big Brother called El Hermosa Grande, I think, the brother Big Brother, El Hermosa Grande. And Jessica, while we were in the house, told us a story that she told her family, because her family's from Puerto Rico, and so Spanish speaking, all that. So she told them that she was going on to Big Brother, and some of her family members had a fit, an absolute pitched a fit that she was going to go on the show because they had been watching El Grande and Hermosa, or El Hermoso Grande. Anyway, they'd been watching that, and apparently the Spanish version of Big Brother, a little more risque than ours, a little more focused maybe on hooking up and all kinds of things that, of course, we had enough of that during our season, but apparently a little more risque than you get on primetime TV here in the United States. And so her family was very worried about it, that she was going on that show. She said, "No, I'm not doing that. This is a little different," and all that. But she had to tell them that just because she was going on that show didn't mean, because she was married at the time. She said, "Doesn't mean I'm going to be hooking up. I'm not going to be flirting. I'm not going to be doing any of that. It's strictly to play the game." So yeah, I laughed about that her family had grown up with a slightly different version. So it kind of colored the way they saw and what they expected when she went on the show. I bet they loved watching her. I had so much fun when I played the game, knowing my family was watching, and for the most part, enjoying watching me play and survive and all of that. All right, what else we have on it? Cindy, my daughter's visiting and saw your background and said it was Cliff Rushmore. Yeah, it's I've never been to Mount Rushmore. I found it hard to justify making a trip due north to hit. Is that South Dakota? I think Rushmore's in South Dakota. People tell me that North Dakota doesn't actually exist. No one actually lives there. It's just a figment of our imagination just to fill in that gap with Canada and all that. Maybe. I don't know if I've met anyone from North Dakota, but I think that'd be pretty cool to see, right? Big old mountain. I don't know how long it took to make those things, but it's always impressive. The Egyptians had their pyramids. I can't imagine that Rushmore will last quite as long as the pyramids. Or a couple of 100 years from now, people are going to be going by and saying, Yeah, I think there were faces there at one point, but now a little faded away and everything else. Yeah, we'll see. Or for all we know, some COVID Part Two or some Last of Us type event. Speaking of show, I've been watching. Event's going to happen. Someone's going to come along and say, "Man, I don't know who lived here before us, but they must be their gods up there on that. They put their faces up on the side of a cliff. That must be who they worshipped or something." Well, yeah, I put my face up on there. I think I'm probably not going to be getting any Rushmore type treatment for a while. I just carve my face in soap and put it over on the mantle or something instead. All right, Amanda's saying, I have your autographed picture. Cool. And thank you later for the Whataburger shirt on my fridge. Besides Nicole's thank you note. Two of my favorites. Amanda, I remember that. That's thank you. I mean, it's amazing. As I said, when I went in the house, I didn't plan on doing influencing or anything, and I still don't do it. Yeah, y'all don't see me pitching the latest makeup. Yeah, that's not what. For some reason, they don't see me doing that. But yeah, I don't do a lot of influence or anything like that. But I have so much fun out here just interacting with y'all. And Amanda, it's hard to believe that I got out in 2019. We're coming up on what 3.5 years or so. So thank you. It means a lot to me. It truly does, Amanda. It's just special. It's just very special. All right, what else do we have on here? A couple of things. 7:40. Yeah, we're doing all right on time. So we got that. Let's talk about a couple of things that I did this weekend, other than wearing my comfy. Watched a lot of sports. Oh, Sharon hated it. It kind of cool and wet and everything. So it's just one of those days we kind of spend it over the weekend, sitting in on Saturday, getting our energy back up. Woke up, watched some college baseball. I am huge. I love college football, but I especially love college baseball. I'm just like President Bush, big into the college baseball. The first weekend of college baseball season, so we watched that. Watched a little college basketball. And watched my Houston Roughnecks, my XFL football team. Our NFL team is so bad, but at least we've got the spring football, which they play just up the street from us, not too far down the road. So, yeah, the Houston Roughnecks are playing. I like any kind of football. I like any kind of sports. One of the things I do when I travel is I turn on the TV and I find out what the local sports are that people are watching. In a lot of countries, it's soccer, football for the purist, but a lot of folks that do that. But I've seen some really weird sports in different places around the world. In India, there's a sport called Kabbalah, I think, Kabbalah, something like that. As near as I can tell, it's tag, it's freeze tag, professional played. It's played on like a volleyball looking court. People are on 4 or 5 people are on one side, 4 or 5 people are on the other side. The whole thing is, can you run across the line, the center line, touch a line on the other person's court and make it back before someone tags you? And if so, you get a point. So everyone's scrambling back and forth and doing feints and jukes and all that. It's really cool. When I watched it, I remember thinking, what in the world did I just turn the TV on to? But they've got that. I still turn on the TV every once in a while and see sumo wrestling on TV. I don't quite understand the rule. I don't think there are rules. I think it's just whoever can push the other one outside the court. There cannot be a sport that is so weird or random that I won't watch it. I gravitate towards those things. But yeah, watched a lot of football, basketball, and baseball over the weekend. So enjoyed that. But in between that, Sharon said, "All right, you do that. We're going to do some other thing and watch some other stuff in between all of those," which was fine. So we watched a few different shows. Watched another episode of Last of Us. For those of you who haven't got onto the Last of Us train, watch it. Oh, I love the apocalyptic type movies and shows anyway. I was a huge fan of The Walking Dead until I wasn't. Kind of jumped the shark there at the end, but another great episode. I just have loved Last of Us so much, so watch that. But we also, in a very random, just going through the channels as people do, we found, was it Saturday afternoon, I think, we found on one of the channels, Die Hard. The Kamichi building or whatever it is. It's not Kamichi. I can't remember what it is. The Katsawala building. Anyway, the original Bruce Willis, Die Hard. I bet I've seen that thing 20 times. and it's still such a great movie. Yippee MF, just so many great lines. The villain was incredible. Uh, so we watched that. Originally, we just watched a couple of minutes. It was the very start. We ended up watching the whole thing, as we do every time it's on. I just love that. Talking about Jimmy Carter that's not doing so well and all that. Bruce Willis is another one. They came out and announced over, I guess, the weekend, his family did, that he's suffering some advanced dementia that's frontal lobe. I don't know all the medical terms, but he's apparently has some dementia, Alzheimer's type symptoms that it's tough because then you watch a movie like Die Hard where he's just in his absolute prime. We loved Moonlighting before he was an action hero. Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd on TV. Some walk by night. We love that show. It was one of my favorites while I was on. I still, if it's ever on TV and I see an episode, I'll flip it over. They don't show it that much. I don't know why, but yeah, big fan of Bruce Willis. And so we watched Die Hard, enjoyed it. We realized that neither one of us have seen any of the other Die Hard sequels that took place after the first one. Just never got around to it. We had kids and stuff, I guess, at the time. So we watched one of them. I think it was the third one in the series, Die Hard with a Vengeance, where he's running all through New York City and trying to save people from getting blown up and all that. It was okay, but not quite the original with Hans Gruber as a villain and all. This one was a little too much car chasing and a little sillier and all that, but that's all right. It was still fun. We watched that. So we watched some fun movies. And this weekend, I watched a movie which I'm in my 50s. I've seen a lot of movies over the years. So it's tough to find a movie which I'm telling you very well is in consideration as the worst movie that I have seen in my entire life. And that includes traveling to Nigeria, Russia, Angola, Indonesia, and watching movies on TV that I don't even understand the language and all that. This perhaps is, I'm going to say not just perhaps, I'm pretty certain this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life that I made it through the whole thing. And that movie is, the drum roll, maybe just a raspberry, White Noise. White Noise, I'd heard about it, and the reason I heard about it is because, and it's in the spoiler, there's no plot, so you don't have to worry about spoilers, really. It's been talked about a lot. This is on Netflix, I think. It's been talked about it a lot because part of the movie is involves a train that derails, and so people are having to evacuate. Derails in Ohio, so it's just like what actually happened up in Ohio last week, a couple of weeks ago. And so because of that, people were saying, oh, this movie just came out last year showing exactly what happened, foreshadowing or predictions and future telling and all that. So because of that, I'd heard the name White Noise mentioned. It has Adam Driver, who he's done quite a few shows and all of that. He's in the Star Wars franchise, right? I'm so far behind on Star Wars. I need to get caught up on this last little series of movies that came out. But anyway, had Adam Driver. It seemed interesting, people trying to evacuate in a apocalyptic type situation. All right, let's watch this. We'll see how it works. It was so bad. It was so horrible. It's one of those halfway through. It's like, why are we still watching this? Because there's that little hope that maybe it gets better. It's one of those artsy kind of films that you think maybe at the end they're going to tie it all together and there'll be some huge message that makes everything else make sense. And so it just almost became like a reality TV show challenge. Do we have the fortitude to make it through the very end of this movie? And it wasn't easy. I'm telling you, it was the worst. Now, it was nominated for a few awards. So I don't know enough about acting and theater and directing and all of that. Maybe it was fantastic and I'm just a hayseed that doesn't know any better. But I don't think so. It was so hard. There was no plot. I don't know if the acting was bad or the directing or the cinematography. I mean, it looked okay. It just didn't have a plot that was worth a hill of beans. It was, I think the Rotten Tomatoes score, the critics gave it like a 50 or 60 rating or something like that. The regular people gave it like a 30 rating out of 100. So I have a feeling some of these shows, the directors, it's a little bit like the Emperor's New Clothes. I feel like the critics sometimes they they're trying so hard to see all the fancy finer details and elements and everything, and they're looking at a picture not just did I enjoy it, but little details here or there. And I feel like sometimes they maybe will give awards for things just because they think it should be good, even though as a regular viewer, we just don't like it. I just didn't like it. Now there's people out here. Angie Hung is probably catch up on this a little bit later, and Angie's huge in the movie. She knows every person in the world, and so I'd be curious to hear what your comments are, Angie, and I'd be curious to hear what y'all may have to say as well. If any of y'all seen White Noise, tell me if you think I'm wrong, and I very well could be, but I hated it. It was. Here's the thing: as I thought about it, what movie was worse than White Noise? And there's only two that I may throw out there. One from a long time ago. There's a movie, Joe versus the Volcano, with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, yeah. How could he have the worst movie ever? It was a sloth to get through. We had to slug through it. It was bad. I didn't enjoy that. There was another movie that I saw. I got free admission as an early promotional kind of thing to go see, and I still got gypped because it was so bad. And that was The Weekend at Bernie's. And I know some people like it. I could not stand Weekend at Bernie's. I thought it was the most dumb plot, everything, but whatever. Just one man's opinion. But 50 something years of watching movies, and I now have a new number one over this weekend, White Noise. So if you want, watch it just to tell me whether I'm full of it or whether you agree with me. But I just couldn't get into the movie at all. Michelle Moore saying, do you like the movie The Truman Show? Yes, I love The Truman Show. It was incredible. It was such a funny, because I'm in reality TV. I think a lot of y'all are as well. To take idea of reality and apply it. Jim Carrey plays a character who's in a reality show and doesn't know it. Everything about him is fake, and his whole life has been inside this reality show. I love the concept of it. There was one of my favorites. I really like it. It's one of those I'll watch every time it comes on. There was another one with Matthew McConaughey, and I cannot remember the name of it, but he plays a reality guy who's on reality TV. They're filming him 24/7, and he eventually gets tired of it, but he just can't get him to stop filming and everything. I like those kind of shows where they take what we see nowadays and just apply a little bit of absurdity to it, or they try to extend it out to the next step. Because really, I did Big Brother, and yes, I was on 24/7, but it was for a short period of time. It was a controlled environment. I can see in this day and age where now everyone has body cams and everyone's filming everything with their cell phones and all that. I can see a reality show where you start having someone that's 24/7, just going around everywhere. Look at the Kardashians. I mean, there's a lot of people. Is that true life? Maybe a little bit, but I can see something like that happening. Oh, Ed TV. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. Yes, Ed TV with Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, I love that show. Both of those shows are fantastic. I see a day where you're just going to have people. They tried it. There was a show on Fox that was a little bit like Big Brother. It's called Utopia, where they just took a bunch of people, said, you're going to go live out on this farm. You're going to have to grow your own food, if I recall. You're going to figure out who works the farm, who cooks, who does this, and this. And there's no end. You're just going to be out there until the show ends, or until you get voted off. Seems like every once in a while they would vote someone out, someone else would come in. So there's a little bit of transition, but there was no end point. There was no whoever makes it to the end wins $1 million. It was just, y'all are going to be out there until, I guess, you get tired of being out there. They had a show like that in the UK. I think it was either Ireland or the UK proper. UK or Ireland, two different countries, but somewhere over in that area, they had one of those shows where they put a whole bunch of people on an island and did the same thing. They said, y'all are going to have to fight for your survival, figure out who does what. And If you want to stay, you stay. If you want to leave, you leave. But there's no end point. We're just going to see how y'all do out here interacting as a community. All these people volunteered to do it. Oh, fantastic. It's great. Apparently didn't do so well. Apparently there's a lot of fighting. It turned into almost a Lord of Flies type situation. There was a power structure, and if you weren't part of that, you were not treated well, and you're booted and all of that. But here's the kicker. Apparently no one watching it really liked it, and I think they canceled it after like the second episode on TV. But they didn't tell the people they were out on the island. These people spent like 4 more months or 6 months or something out on this island thinking that everything they were doing was on TV, that everyone's watching them, see how they interact. No one watching nothing. They're just out there. I guess they still had the cameramen, but nothing on TV. I don't know why they didn't pull the plug on it. Maybe they thought it's going to get renewed, or they'd have all this archival footage they tied into something. Nah, none of it. After a while, I guess they finally approached people and said, not only are we ending this thing, but just so you know, no one's been watching you for the last 5 months because it got canceled way back in January or whatever. Wouldn't that be a kick in the pants? I don't know how I would have handled if I got a big brother and they said, yeah, no, it didn't quite work out. We saw your first episode, but since then, yeah, they've been watching Love Island instead or something. Yeah, how weird would that be? Reality TV is just a weird life to be involved with in any form or manner. 7:54, 7:55, quick. Cindy said, I watched Utopia. All right, well, now I know 3 people who watched Utopia. Sharon, myself, and Cindy. At one point, I used to know the theme song. Rob has a podcast that made fun of Utopia. This is Utopia, something like that. They had a theme song. It was cheesy and rough and all that. But yeah, some things don't work as well as others. But if they brought Utopia back, they could have a channel. Forget Paramount Plus. If they just had a channel that was nothing but the life of Barkley or something, just a camera setup following one person 24/7, I guarantee people would watch it. I guarantee people would get invested in that person's life, especially if they were doing something a little bit exotic and unique and everything else. We've got YouTube channels. We've got people now that do the TikToks and all that. I can see a time where there's just going to be someone who says, I'm wearing a camera on my head 24 hours a day. Feel free to log in and watch me or not. It's your choice. But for the next year, every single second is going to be recorded. And anyone who wants to come out to my YouTube channel and watch it and see what happens. I bet that person would have quite the subscriber base. I'm not doing that. There's no one that wants to watch 365 days of my life, but someone's going to do it. And a lot more people are going to watch. I promise it. I guarantee it. We're headed that way. There's no privacy in this world anymore. We voluntarily give it up, but that still doesn't mean that there's privacy left. All right. Wow. What I said. I love all those shows. Talk about shows that don't officially end. There was Solitary, which was on, what was that, the old reality TV network. That didn't end until there was only one person left. It wasn't, we're going to go 40 days, 60 days, whereas y'all keep going until there's just one person left, and then we'll end it. Alone is like that as well. They get dropped off in the bush up in Canada, Alaska, etc. And they say, look, you could be here a month, you could be here 6 months, you could be here a year, because we're going to film until everyone gives up except one person. And if you're that one person, you win $1 billion. But if you give up after 5 months and 3 weeks, there's probably someone else out there that's still competing if we don't come get you. So that would be hard. When I went on Big Brother, I could tell my family, say, look, there's a good chance I'll be back in a week, because they target the older guy. So I may be back before y'all even have a chance to see me unpack or anything. But I also said, but in a best case situation, I may not see y'all until September. And we're like, okay, 3.5 months. We can do 3.5 months. I can't picture a situation where you tell your family, I'm going, I'll see you when I see you. It may be a year, it may be 2 years, it may be 6 months. I just don't know. I don't know how you get all your business taken care of in that kind of situation to do it. But you have to. I mean, if you're out there for 5 months, you're playing for $1 million, it would be tough to quit after investing that much time and just say, yeah, I've had enough. Not that I got voted out or anything else. Just, yeah, I've had enough. I quit. Yeah. You put me out there after 5 months, you're going to find little old skinny, starving, freezing cold cliff out there, but I'll still be out there if I've been out there 5 months, because at that point in time, there's no way I'm throwing away those 5 months to quit. I would be out there. I look like Grizzly Adams. I'd be freezing, but I'd have a beard down on my knees because I would not be quitting that kind of show. Not after putting that kind of time in. So there you go. All right, a little tangent into reality TV I didn't plan to go to, but it is what it is. Man, it's 7:58. I think we'll shut it down at this point. Is this what's the 20th? So no, 27th. We got one more week of February. Next week we'll still be into February. So there you go. Not that it matters that much, but just because I forgot to mention, we talked about the challenge. We did not talk about Big Brother USA or Canada. Canada, March 8th. When are we going to find out? I need to check. I don't know when they're going to introduce the cast. I figure we've got to be another week away or so. I assume they want to put them in sequester, and then they'll introduce who it is. I'm excited to see who's going to be on the cast this season. I am planning to watch. I mentioned that it was kind of hard watching it. I think I got a few options as well to watch it. So I'm looking forward to Big Brother Canada is right around the corner. Casting for Big Brother USA is in full swing. So think about trying out. If you got a picture, if you got a shirt with my picture on it, wear that. And but here's the thing. If you get on the show and if you're cast and you're wearing a shirt that has a picture of me, I don't know if that will help you in terms of relations with everyone else in the house. I may think you got an inside edge or something else, but if I see anyone walk into that house and they got a picture of me on their shirt, I'm going to be your biggest fan, right? I would just fall over. I would just fall over in shock. Sharon would have to revive me because I'd either be laughing so hard or so excited. Maybe a combination of both. That would be hilarious. But anyway, yeah, that's something to think about going forward. All right, guys, y'all have a fantastic week. Enjoy the last full week of February. As I said before, if you haven't already gone out and subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. You can hit the thumbs up while you're at it, and you can turn on notifications. That way, challenge, Big Brother, whatever it is, you'll hear about it as soon as I drop it. Y'all have a great one, guys. I will be back next week for episode number 117 or so. These numbers are building up. Triple digits. Y'all have a great one. Until then, guys, SKD143. Love my wife, love my kids, love all of y'all out here. Have a great one. Cheers, my friends. Bye. I love this company. It's so great.